Guys, good morning. This is our first speed training that we're giving. It's very basic, to the point. I'm going to go through some items on how to create a domain, create extensions, SIP trunks, dial plans, inbound, outbound. And we'll just go from a few steps there and then at the end and see if you guys have any questions and we can go to there. Again, my name is Hamlet Collado, and today I'll be your presenter. Okay, so let's get to it. So this is a multi-domain PBX. I have a few domains here. If I want to create the domain, you can press create and just create my domain. So here we go. So this is my domain. So let's just pretend that this is a customer. Oh, it exists. Let's do 2. All right. So I got my first domain here. Of course, I have a slew, but this is my first domain. And I'm going to click on it. Next, I'm going to go on the left-hand panel. You have all accounts. We're interested in creating an extension. So we're going to click an extension. Then we click add. Now, depending on your customers, they usually have a 2, 3, or 4 digit. I'm going to do 3 digit. Okay, if the email is set up on the system, we can send emails, voicemails, and a fax to email, but that needs to be set up on an SMTP server that we have on the PBX. The PIN is for the voicemails to log in, so the subscriber will dial their extension, and if it's set up on the system to provide the PIN, they have to enter the PIN. And then the cell phone number of the user. Okay, now this here automatic generate red password. That's for the login of the login user for the GUI. So there they can log in and make calls. I'm going to go through that. You can set this as automatic. The generate SIP password is used for manual registration. Although if you provision a phone, you can change the SIP password and we'll just update whatever phone you have. So for now, I'm going to say yes. And then here you can upload a picture. If you have a picture, I'm just going to do just a random picture. All right, so I'll just take this one, boom, and there. I have my first extension created. The next thing I'm going to do is create a SIP trunk. So SIP trunk is under trunks, SIP trunks. So right now I don't have any trunks. What I'm going to do is go to call Centric. I have a slew of accounts here, so I'm just going to pick up random. Maybe I'll pick this one here. So for call Centric, you have to click on modify. And then you have to create a SIP password first. So I'm just going to give a random one, random SIP password. So I'm just going to use this. My password. Okay. Oh, okay. So many characters. Let's make it simple then. Okay, that's about right. All right. I'm going to save. Okay. So next, I'm going to save this password aside because I'm going to need it. Next, I'm going to copy my account, go to Vodia, click on add, look for my template that we have here called Centric. Okay, here we go, called Centric. And then I'm going to put the username, which is the account number here. And then we're going to use the password we created. Okay, let's just go back, call Centric. Okay, let's do this again. Yeah. All right. Okay, call Centric. And then I'm going to put my password and my account number. And that should register the account. Once you see a 200 OK, that means the trunk is registered. And also we create a dial plan on the fly for you. So it'll be the default the default. It's always called default when you create a trunk. Your first trunk, it will be the dial plan we call default. So this is all set. So the next thing we're gonna do, now we have this trunk set up. Let's create an auto attendant. An auto attendant is just an IVR. When a customer calls into the system, they get a set of options to choose from, and from there they can click on or dial an extension they know or a parameter. So we're just going to create this here, and we're going to say, this we'll call it inbound. Very good. That's what I expected. So we're going to go into the auto attendant. A couple things about the auto attendant. A lot of customers ask, how do I upload a IVR message? So you can go to the IVR tab, and then here you can upload your message. It has to be 8 kilohertz bit mono, or you can simply, if you have a registered phone, you can simply dial *98700, and then Vodia will give you instructions to record the message. So back to the edit screen on the auto attendant. So just real fundamental. If you have an account here, you can choose it. This account will be able to record the auto attendant IVR message. And if we scroll down, we have direct destination, and here we can choose the input that the user will dial. So if the message says for sales, press 1, for support, press 2. So here we go. If I choose here playback audio, we have already a slew of audio files already available for you, and you can choose it here, or simply you can use the recording that you've provided, and then from there you can choose where the extensions will go if the user presses a DTMF. So for this one, I'm just going to simply put this extension. Okay, let's give it a second. All right, so there is the first input. And secondly, by default, the auto attendant already has a dial plan, the domain dial plan that it will use if it needs to call out. The next thing we're going to jump on, I'm going to piece all this together, but we're going to go to a service flag to set up the business hours. Okay. Let's create, and then next, what we're going to do is just want to go in and do an automatic dial plan. By default, it's set to manual. Manual just means that a user or a designated user can change the status of a service flag by dialing extension 500. That will activate or deactivate the service flag. From here, you can say what the Vodia confirmation tool should be. And we just set this by default. And then here you can set the extension that is able to change the status of the service flag. Okay. So for this demonstration, I'm just going to use automatic. Our logic is a specified time when flag is not active. So for me, my service flag is not active between 9 and 5:30 from Monday to Friday. Okay. So this will kick in after hours. And then what we're going to do is link this service flag to an auto attendant, so that when after hours come, you'll be able to direct the call, incoming call after hours to here under night service. You can put an extension number, or you can put a service number. So what would happen here, once the service flag is activated, the user will hear the regular message, and then this will send the call to the service number. However, if you want to get a little granular, you can also take this service flag you created here, and then create a automatic message here. So you can dial *998-700-1 for the first message, and or you can upload a message. And this message can simply say you've called after hours. Please leave your name, number, message, etc. And that would be used for that. So when the service flag is activated, they will hear this message, and then Vodia will then redirect the call to the service number. In the case that you want to send the after hour messages to an extension, all you have to do is put 8 in the extension. 8 is our prefix number that will send the calls directly into an extension's voicemail box. Okay, so we have set this up. We did a service flag, auto attendant, trunk. So now, and this is very, it's a lot of things we can do here, but I'm just going to keep it simple. So I'm going to go into call Centric. Okay, this account's already set up. I don't have to do absolutely anything. I don't have to change any settings. It's pretty much ready to go for inbound and outbound. So what I'm going to do here under route and redirection, I'm going to choose send call to a specific account. Okay, a few things. This is a new feature. We have set this to default. So if you have a different trunk that's not call Centric, like Telnex or Quest Blue, Telenex. They also provide you DIDs. It's a little bit different with Concentric because Concentric's inbound calls are all 177 numbers. So if you use another provider, you can leave this as default. Then we will match the inbound DID to a user. This setting also does the same thing, send call to destination request URI. So just keep it very simple. Let's say this is a very simple setup at a premise or cloud. You can send call to a specific account, which will be my account. So when you call in, and or if my phone is registered, my phone will ring, or if it's not, it'll go to voicemail. So on the route and redirection, this is where you send the destination where the call should go. I'll get into DID management so you guys can have a kind of an idea how this works. So under the DID management, you can click add. And then let's say I have a DID from call Centric. I'm going to map it to extension 400. And I'm going to say use it for outbound DID as well. So when I make an outbound call, my number will show as the main number. Accounts can have many DIDs, it's not just one account, one DID rather. If you go into the extension, you can also add more DIDs. Pretty much you can add DIDs to any account on the system. So if any of these numbers were called, I would be, it would ring my extension. Okay, so this is one way of adding DIDs, DID space, etc. Okay, then the other thing I wanted to go over is maybe we can go into Mailbox. So each extension has a mailbox. It's enabled by default. The time until Mailbox picks up, it's the default, but you can set, how many seconds you want it to ring before it goes to voicemail. So this is very, very granular what you can do here, but just make sure that this is set enabled, and then your pickup time. Now this is like kind of a race condition because if you have a cell phone, you want to let the Vodia PBX call the cell phone. So you want to give it enough time before we pick up the mailbox on our end. So we got the SIP trunk done. Inbound calls are going into. In fact, instead of just it going to my extension, let's just do a practical scenario where it just goes to the auto attendant, and then we save that there. Yeah, you do notice some things here like the codecs that you can set up. I normally just leave that alone. I don't play with the codecs because it's already set up on the system level, at the administrator level rather. And you can go here under audio. And you can just set up your codecs here so that you don't have to touch it on the trunk. You don't have to touch it on the extension level because you'll end up doing some transcoding, and that's not something you want. In the case that you are hosting the PBX in the cloud and you are behind a firewall, it's important that you set up the IP routing list. We've made this very simple. This is basically a session border controller, a mini session border controller built into the PBX. Here you can say private, public, and this will be used for primarily if the PBX was on premise behind a firewall. Today in the cloud, you are behind a firewall anyway, but you still need to tell the PBX what IP to use. So we will use the public IP instead of the private IP, unless you're coming from the private IP. But in this case, very simple: private, public. You're done. No one-way audio, etc. However, if you have a firewall set on your cloud deployment, we want to make sure that port 5060 and port 5061 is open. Also, under audio, you want to also open 49,000 and 64,000 range, or UDP, for our RTP ports that will be used when inbound call is coming in or outbound calls going out. Okay. This is a little bit an advanced section. I'm not going to delve too much on it. I'm going to go back to my domain. So let's talk a little bit about hunt groups. Some call it ring groups. So I'm going to go to hunt group and just create one. So a hunt group basically will ring multiple extensions in the system. So here we have 3 stages and we have duration. Just keep it simple. I only have my extensions, as you can see. I'm just going to put 20 seconds here, 20 seconds again. Again, you can put multiple extensions. You can put at least 20 extensions in each stage. I wouldn't go too crazy, but all the phones will ring if you have multiple extensions here. On the final stage, again, you can put 8 and 440, which is just the prefix of the voicemail mailbox. This can be changed, but this is, to keep it simple, just leave it as is. So on the final stage, the call will go to my voicemail, as an example. We also have behavior algorithms. Here you can say select the most idle agent. Of course, if you had more extensions here, based on all these extensions, whoever's the idlest, the phone will ring to them. Okay. You can also choose a ring melody. This is, if you choose any ring melody here, when a call comes into the PBX, whether it be a snum phone, a yielding phone, you can control the ringer, which we will send an alert info header based on what you choose here, or you can do a custom ringtone, which we will talk about at some later time. Here on the from header, you have calling party, group name, calling party name, from, what trunk is coming to. Primarily, this is used to give a signal to the agent if the agent is part of many groups, what to say, how to announce himself when an inbound call comes in, and what group it is. So this group could be, sales. They know it's a sales call. If you have another hunt group, you can put support, etc. But they will know this on the display of the phone. We will show it, so they know how to answer the call. Again, each of our accounts have service flags, so you can say here, let's say when service flag is active on service flag 500, send it to some service number or to some account on the PBX. Here you can put anything because the hunt group has a dial plan of its own and it can dial out for you. If these accounts have cell phones, we will also call the cell phones and the desktop phone and the app or desktop phone for Vodia. This you can choose later on how the agent wants to receive the call. Okay, so this is the hunt group. Then we have the agent group. It's a little bit more granular than the hunt group. Okay. So it's kind of the same Same idea here. You have your primary agents.
Actually, yeah, sorry, good Sachin brought it up
So,
because that was another thing. I thought that process was complete or not
so
yet.
these are my agents, and then agents that can add themselves. So basically, a scenario: busy day, all the phones are ringing. There are not enough agents. Non-agents can
Okay.
go in and log themselves in and be part of the agent group to help out the
Okay.
team. Um, so this is like kind of a ring all. So you can also mimic the agent hunt group. For the selection, we can say random. Just call any extension randomly. The longest idle or use preference from the agent setting, which is this is my agent settings, and this is the lineup I have for this agent group. So it will go down the line.
Okay.
Um, Now,
All right.
if you wanted to have a little bit control, you wanted to have three agents ring or four agents ring, what you can do is you can go here, ring duration, and you say 5 seconds. Okay, I think by default it is five. And then
Yeah.
under agents added per ring, you can choose after 5 seconds, three agents ring. After another 5 seconds, three agents ring, etc.
Okay.
Okay. Um, Again, each account,
All right.
or primarily the agent group, hunt group, conference room, rather hunt group and agent groups and auto attendants have service flags. So here you can set your service flag. It's a little bit redundant unless this agent group has its own DID, which it can, as I explained earlier. So if this agent group is called directly and bypasses the auto attendant, you can set up your service flag anyway and redirect those calls to wherever you want. Okay. Then here for caller setup, um, when a call comes in, regular ringtone. When an agent rings or no ringtone and continue playing music. This is when you enter the queue. Um, you can have a music source. We have three default files you can use, or you can use your own. You can upload your own as well. Background music, you can say mute 20% if you have any announcement uploaded here. For example, here on the upload messages, you can set up your initial greeting. Thank you for calling, la 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 la, la la la. Your agent will be with you, blah blah blah. That's one initial greeting, or you can set up many, up to 9 messages that the customer will hear if the agent is not available, um, and they can hear those messages, and Vodia can mute the music at 20%. Okay. Here you can say which account can record messages for the agent group. So you can put that extension there. Or again, you can upload them. We also have a post-call survey, which is pretty cool. If it's activated, Vodia will ask when the agent hangs up to give a star rating between 1 and 5, and this star rating will show up in the CDR in the CDR tool, so that you can verify and check that call if it was good or what had happened based on the call rating. Okay. Um, Here, under again, you can see I'm not going through all the settings. Some of them are very intuitive and very granular. So under caller option, you can say here redirect call to a specific destination so they can go to the auto attendant. So basically, the gist of it here, if you have anything set up, any destination set up, um, Vodia, based on your message that you record here, based on the message you record here, you can also tell the user, press 0 if you want to be redirected to the auto attendant. So you don't want the customer to be on the line for too long. You give them some more options. Um, Here under, let's see here, queue position announcements, you want to turn that on, and then you want to say the minimum of people that need to be in the queue, at least two, will activate the announcement queue. So it would say you are ahead of the queue, or you have three people ahead of the queue, etc. Okay. If you have any calls, you'll see the calls here. In fact, let me go to one of my domains that may have some data, hopefully. Let's see, let's go to 42. Probably I don't have any calls here. All right. In any case, during the course of the day or the week, this will be filled up with some information about the agent, recorded calls as well. That's another thing. Maybe we can touch on the recording portions. Each domain has obviously their own settings. For recordings, you need to go to your domain, settings, general settings. And if you scroll down here, you can say record calls from Hunt Group, record calls from Agent Group, record calls of other extensions when someone dials an emergency. And you can also turn this on where it says play a message before starting a recording for quality assurance. So you can turn those on by default, and those recordings will show up here under recording calls. So these are all just recorded test calls that I've made. You can set up a note. You can listen to the recording. You can download the recording as you play it as well. You can check by caller ID, start end calendar, which extension you're interested in seeing. Again, this is under a particular domain and not the whole system. So everything is separate on the multi-domain. And you can choose the extension you want to see here. Let's see. Park orbits, that's another big topic. Everybody wants to know how to park a call. Simply just create your park orbit extension. And so if you go into the park orbit account, you have music on hold source that they will be able to hear, whether it be an announcement or a couple announcements within the music on hold. Then you have park reminder. You can turn off, or after 20 seconds, you can say send the call to a specific account if the user somehow forgets that they have a park call. In some instances, a slew of phones will have a button configured, a park orbit configured, so they will see the amber light on their phone to signify that there is a park call on the system that needs to be picked up, or hopefully announced to a particular person to pick up the service flag. I mean the park orbit. And to pick up a park orbit, if you don't have a button, just you can on your phone you can dial 45 and the park orbit will be picked up. If not picked up, it'll be sent to an extension, and then from there they can take care of the matter. Okay, I'm going to jump into extensions just to show you a little bit how the provisioning works. So the first step is once you have your extension created, you need to grab the MAC address of the phone. I have a slew of MAC addresses here. So I'm just going to click on an account that I have. Okay, so the first step to provision your phone, whether it be a Yealink, Snomphone, Fanville, Avaya, etc., you can click on the plus button, and then you can click add your MAC address, and then choose your vendor and choose. So let's say I'm going to choose a Yealink, and then here we have a slew of a specific different phones that we have here that you can choose from. So once you choose it, you can press add, okay, and then save. All right, so add the MAC address. Second step is to activate the Open MAC based provisioning, which all it is kind of like a Bluetooth pairing between the PBX, the phone, and the PBX. Okay, once this is activated, you can either tell the phone to go to the PBX, which you guys primarily know. For example, on a SNOM phone, you go advanced update and setting URL, and you set the domain name if it's FQDN. The PBX, the phone will go to us. This timer will decrement to maybe 3 to 2 minutes. And then this is an indication that the phone has grabbed provisioning files. I'll show you how that looks. Let's see if I have one here. On the provisioning history, no, I don't have one there, but primarily you'll see the history of the provisioning template file that was used to provision that phone. Now, in the case that you want to set up buttons on the phone, you can simply, again, once you set up your set the MAC address or the vendor, Vodia will automatically detect what the vendor is for the phone. And in that, Vodia then creates or already has the button templates that you can use to create a button scheme. Okay, so what you can do here under type, you can choose, let's say I want to use an extension BLF. And then under the parameter, I can choose who I want to monitor. And you just keep the same thing. You can do another BLF and then choose 406. And let's say I want to do a Park Orbit account. And then choose my Park Orbit here. Okay. And then you can just save that. And then Vodia, either or. I mean, if you choose your buttons, rather, if you do your provisioning, you can do the buttons afterwards or before you do provisioning. Okay. However, let's say you have 50 phones you have to provision. You don't want to do this for all 50 extensions. It's a waste of time. So under your domain, you can go to advanced, then buttons, and then you can create a set. So for example, let's say it's SNOM 85. I can modify it and I can just set up the buttons I want to use here. And if a SNOM 785, for example, provisions to Vodia, this will be the default profile that will be used, which means saves you time from not going to all the extensions and setting up the buttons. So you just do it at one shot here, and then Vodia will service all the phones with the buttons. Okay. Let's see what else we can talk about here. Oh yes, Vodia does provide a Let's Encrypt certificate for your domain. However, there's a few steps you have to do on your behalf. For example, here I have GoDaddy, and what I want to do is create an A record for my PBX. I'm going to go A record, and let's say I do voice 2, and then it points to my PBX IP. Okay. And then I'm just going to save that. So now I've created an A record voice 2, which is here, voice2.audiomercy.com, which is my FQDN. This should resolve, hopefully. See? Okay, there it is. There it's not. Okay, it cannot be found. Obviously, it does take some time before your FQDN resolves. So in any case, just create it on your DNS record, and then create it on the Vodia PBX. It should go to this box. The next thing you want to look at is certificates, and under certificates, I already have 3 certificates from Let's Encrypt, which is good for 3 months. Now, to activate Let's Encrypt, it's already set by default. All you need to do is just create your A record on whatever .com GoDaddy account you're using, and just create your A record here. And then Vodia will do the Let's Encrypt stages on your behalf. It will take, usually it takes maybe 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how many domains you have. And then we just create that certificate for you here. So if I go to phone, let's see. Okay, and if I do HTTPS, then you can see that I have a Let's Encrypt certificate here. Okay, So you see the issued by R3, etc., and expires 6/13/2021. So my connection is secure. And the only reason why we need a secure connection is if you wanted to use the Vodia apps without a fully qualified domain or without a certificate. There's no way you can use the Vodia apps. So, for example, if I go to my domain, I go to a specific extension. Okay, I can log in from here to my user portal. Um, However, we can talk about that at some later time on how to set up welcome emails where the user will be able to get an email with the web PIN information, also FQDN, where they will go to log into the user portal. So this is my user portal. Here I can dial extension. I okay. So for that, like if I wanted to log in, I would go to my web password. So I would just, maybe create some bogus password and put that here. Okay. So I'm just going to save it here just for saving purposes. And now, and then extension 4001. Okay. So so you have three things to log in. You have your domain, your extension, and your web password. If I go incognito, I'm just going to show you how it looks when you log in. Right. Now remember, actually you can set automatically for the Vodia to go HTTPS. I might have not done it. Doesn't matter. I can just put HTTPS. I'm gonna put my extension number 4001 and my web password. And then from here, I should be able to log into my user portal securely. Okay, so now I'm in. So a few things about the user portal. Obviously, on the left-hand panel, you have your colleagues, anybody that's available, anyone that's red is not available or logged into their GUI. If it's green, it would say green, and that's an indication that that user is available. On the GUI, you can press the 3, you can make a call, text, add. This is beta. Okay, don't get too excited, but it's beta. Then we have faxing, which is also beta, so you guys have to wait for that. You can do conferencing. You can use the kind of like a CTA type of method. If I dial a number, it'll activate my desktop phone. I can continue my calls there, or I can go to my web browser. Okay. So we're going to leave it there for now. I can answer some questions before I jump to my other training. I'll do the best I can to answer your questions. If not, you can also send your questions to support@vodia.com, and we can continue there, or you can open a ticket with us. So if you have any questions, please, I can see there's a few here on the right-hand panel. Farouk, I have question in case setup auto attendant. For example, press 1 for sales. I have extension that starts with 1 and 101. The extension number cannot be dialed when inbound call goes to auto attendant. Please explain how to do it. And this is from Farouk. And then our friend Sashin says, try assigning the option as 1 instead of 1. And that will give the user time. If you put a pound, it will give user time to dial the extension. Or if they dial 1, Vodia will be sending that call to the specific account. If you have any questions, just lay it out here on the right-hand panel. CRMs. So for the CRMs, we have a few. We have Zoho, Nutshell, Zamad, and HubSpot. Right now, Zoho, we have finished some integration with them, so it's 100% operational. However, we will need a URL to activate your Zoho with Vodia. So yeah, you just go under Advanced CRM Integration, and then put your Zoho information if you have it there. We don't do Suite CRM yet. We can probably integrate. Yeah, you meant Sugar CRM. Sugar CRM, it's kind of identical to Zoho, but it's not on the plan yet, because we have some other ones that we have to add, but that would be in our bucket list as well. Just to answer your questions, Bara. Any other questions? How to forward call to mobile cell phone in case extension is busy or not answer. Okay, just I'm going to repeat the question. How can you forward a call to a mobile cell phone in case extension is busy? So for that, you can go to your extension and under redirection, we have it's very granular feature. We can say call forward calls when busy. It can be to a specific extension. Or you can say, obviously you have to add your cell phone to receive your call. Or you can put your extension number here, and we would forward the call to your extension if that's the case. You can say all calls, internal or external calls, will be redirected. Okay, and then it's also based on service flag. So after hours, you won't get any cell phone calls from the user. Hi, Dan. The team integration. Unfortunately, on this training, we will not be speaking of Teams, but we will create another session, advanced session for Teams to talk about it. So just stay tuned for that, because this is our first speed training series, and we will talk some advanced topics later in the weeks to come. Okay. Can you email video? This video will be available. We'll put it on YouTube, just so you guys can have it as well. I think we'll send that out as a mailer as well, so you guys can view that and to see some of the steps I've done. Yeah. There's David. If you have any feedback, please reach out to David Porter at dp@vodia.com. We do have a backup feature, but this is available on a different version. I don't have this version here for the backup, unfortunately. We do have a better version that has that available, but the Linux app, I would say, Barat, just send an email to support@vodia.com, and we can provide you with the Linux app so that you can use and test in your deployment. Luther 67.1 is a branch version. It's primarily a bug fix version. Some new features are there, but still hidden. We do have other branch versions. If you wanted to test, just send us an email at support@vodia.com. So soft phone, okay. So if you guys want a soft phone, you can go to the Microsoft store if you have an account, and then from there you can download. So I think I have already installed here. So let me see, Vodia. So there's my Vodia app. And it's the same for the Vodia app. It's the same idea that I mentioned before for logging in. You need your FQDN, which is what's shown here, your extension number, is this. Not sure if you guys can see it. Let me see if I can. Yeah, you guys can see it. So let me put it here. And then the web password. Now I should be able to log in, and I should be able to receive and make calls from here. You'll get an indication on the right-hand panel when the inbound call comes in. You can either click on it to activate that call session, and then from there you can do what you need to do, make calls, receive calls, SMS as well. So Barat, yeah, I mentioned that it might be in 67.2. Does WebRTC works the same? Actually, there's a big difference between 3CX WebRTC and Vodia's WebRTC. We can do multiple sessions of WebRTC in the app, in the browser, in the Android or iPhone app, which is a bit different from 3CX. They only have a few web sessions that you can, WebRTC sessions. We can do multiple. Okay. Yes, the web phone is like a dialer, um, and you can set that. You can set that up here. And the other thing is make sure you have a good microphone, a good headset for your Vodia soft phone. So that's that for an Android. Bharat mentioned any Android phone does not pop up for Vodia. Well, primarily if yeah, version 10 and up is only supported on the Android version. So you would need. We do have APK for some users that have some older versions of the phone. And we can also have that available in the coming weeks, and then we can send an email like that. When you click to dial from the phone, I'm not sure I understand. In any case, Bharat, we can continue offline. Edwin mentioned any plans for video calling. Yes, there is a that's underway and very beta available for testing as well, but please don't expect, um, yeah, don't deploy it in production. It's still beta, so if you go to your user portal, um, the user portal on a particular version, again, you can email us on that if you wanted to test. 67.1 has the video available, the beta rather. Again, it's just beta. Don't expect fireworks. It's still in the works, so just a heads up. If that answers your question, Edwin. Okay, guys, I gotta head out to another training. Um, for new, Bharat mentioned where we see the roadmap for new features. That, yeah, that's a robot webinar. However, you can go to the service center under documentation if you wanted some history of our release notes or our newest version. Just go here, click PBX release, and you'll be able to see um, from the 2015 to 2021. If you're in the mood to read, you can go here and read what version has. Yeah. All right, guys. Hey, so this recording will be available for you guys soon. You'll get an email about it, and then the next session, hopefully, we'll talk about some more items on the PBX. This was very a fundamental one. Thank you for taking the time to spend with me. And with that, I'm going to say thank you, and I'll see you guys later.